Okay, what's something that's around you right now?
That's better. So right now I'm facing my fireplace and a bookcase that's full of all of my keepsakes and things from all the places I've traveled and some things of inspiration. So that's
Perfect.
my setting. And I'm working at the kitchen table. I have yet to convert one of my rooms into an office. So this is where I spend most of my time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. No worries. I understand. Okay, so that is awesome. Let's take some of those. I love how in this book she talks about how everything started out as an idea, right? Everything you see. I remember about 15 years ago, my brother is actually an inventor. I don't know if you've ever heard of Perplexus. It's a big ball that's a clear ball, and inside it's a maze, right? And so they are the inventors of that toy. And at the beginning, they've recently in the last few years sold it and did very, very well because it's been on Amazon top sellers for like years, and they sold that business and they did very well. But at the beginning, I remember we were trying as a family to decide what to name it, and it was going to be Swerve and Mervin for a little bit. So we're trying to figure that out. And I was just like, really, like, we got married the same year. We've got young families. We didn't have kids yet, but we were both hoping to start families. And I just remember thinking, like, are you sure? Is this even going to work? This is crazy. Like, how do you know that this is going to provide for your family? This silly little clear ball thing. And he had tried to invent a few other things, and it hadn't gone so well. And I was like, don't you just kind of like, don't you feel like everything has been invented? And he said, everybody thought that at one point. And if we all thought that, we wouldn't have any of the things we have today. And it's so true, right? I mean, if you think about, you've got all those places that you traveled, Colleen, and the airplane that you took to get there. Or me, when I think of the first thing I feel when I think about where I am right now, I think of the air conditioning, because I used to work in Africa, and I will always love my air conditioning. When I worked in Africa, that was just such a basic thing that I had always grown up with, but every time I would go to my assignments in Africa, I just really, really, really missed air conditioning. So we could go on, that list could go on, right? Of the things that surround us that all started as an idea. Let's see, sorry, I've got this double screen thing working today. It's not working for me so well. I like how when she was talking about your ideas and she was talking about your beliefs and how your beliefs will heal or harm you. And then also how she talks about belief is where it all begins. And sometimes when we have beliefs, this book surprisingly made me very aware of the things that I talk about that might be being picked up by my children. I don't know if any of you guys can relate, but just last week, if you're on the Eastern Seaboard, you'll know, like, you face the gas shortage, right? And so my kids said, Mom, how come we can't go to school? Because school was canceled. Or we were supposed to go to the beach, and it was like, how come we can't go to the beach yet? It's like, because there's not enough gas. And so my kids, most of you know me, that my kids are young, right? So my oldest is 12, and they said, well, why don't we have gas? And I was like, well, like I try to treat my kids as adults. And so I said, do you want the short answer or the big answer that might be kind of boring because it's more of an adult answer? And all of them said, we want the big adult answer. And I said, okay. And so I said something that at the time I just kind of explained it, but then later I realized, oh goodness, I had said something about, well, they think it might be something about Russians hacking, different things. And
can you do me a favor?
And all of a sudden, I realized, going back after I was reading this book, I was like, oh no, what if my kids, they just picked up I don't know what they're going to pick up on, right? What if they just picked up on the part, maybe in my 6-year-old's brain, Russians now equal bad or terrorists. And I was just trying to explain what was going on in my world, in my definition, in my world, the way that my brain thinks. But then a couple nights ago, I had to go and apologize to my kids. And I was like, I just want to make sure that we're clear, because I need to apologize. I want to make sure that you guys understand that there are not all Russians are bad. So I had to clean it up, right? And this book, I like how did it do it that for any of you guys of thinking about the little thoughts we have and how that can spread so quickly, especially to those around us. You know what I mean? Does anybody have any comments on this? We're going to move on and we're going to separate it into different things in just a second. But I like how she talked about all beliefs are a choice and can be changed. So does anybody have any comments about what she was talking about with beliefs and ideas?
I think it ties into too that I'm a big Tony Robbins fan and have really, tried to embrace a lot of that and incorporate that with my children as well. And one of the things too is, our beliefs, and we have limiting beliefs and we have, unlimiting beliefs, limitless beliefs, right? Where we can do anything. And then also kind of in line with that is our state. We can control our state. And that's one thing that, I'm constantly reminding my children, but my children now remind me, which is awesome, is that, be in a beautiful state, and you can change it on an instant. And you can the beliefs too, is that you don't have to stay in those negative thoughts, or you don't have to stay in that negative state. You can change it and your whole world changes, because suddenly, like you said, not everything's been invented. Or my mother and I were talking the other day about, we're so close to flying cars. My children will see flying cars in their lifetime. Maybe I will. Where it's like a common mode of transportation. But it's like, I used to dream about that as a kid watching the Jetsons. But it's like everything starts with those thoughts and those ideas.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. Anybody else want to talk about your ideas and your beliefs and how that can change and mold or affect those around you?
Well, this sort of goes along with it. What I took away is that I am in charge of my life. And it's funny because I was listening to Grant Cardone, the 10 times rule, I think it's called, while I was walking, and he said exactly the same thing. He said, if we have the victim mentality, we are letting somebody else control our life because we're not taking control. And that's what the book said to me too, be in charge. You can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Oh, that's great, Debbie. Yeah. Any other comments? Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. I want each of you to look through these if you can, if you're not driving or anything. And I want you to look through them and see which one stands out to you, and type in the chat which one stands out to you and which one you can share. And then I'm going to have you share a thought or how come it stood out to you. Okay. So here were all quotes from the book. And these were, let's see, the eight that stood out to me the most. So read through those and let me know, put in the chat which one you feel comfortable sharing a thought on. All right, Vali, we're going to have you go first since you chose number one and the other people are still reading. Tell us, will you read number one for us and then share your thoughts on it?
So number one, the worst lies are the ones we tell ourselves. And it's when, and for me personally, when I give in to those doubts and blow it up bigger than it, or the fears or whatever, to blow them up bigger than what reality is. And so, or be too critical. It's like to think that, oh, I'm not like that other person. I'm not far enough in my real estate journey yet. And look how they did it so fast, or, whatever it might be. But it's those lies that become, big, like I said, bigger than what is reality. So just being able to push those aside and ignore them and disconnect myself from them and be able to just keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. Here, let me go real quick over. This one kind of goes along with that. I don't think we're going to have time to go through it because I'd really love to rather just have a discussion. But she had us do an exercise of why did you pick up this book and what negative or limiting beliefs have stopped you from figuring that out until now. Like, why did you pick it up, and then what has limited you from doing this or figuring this out on your own. And then she had us cross out those each of those limiting beliefs, and then why are those limiting beliefs wrong. And to actually think about that was good for me. And I don't know if you guys took the opportunity to really do that, of why, to really say why those are so wrong. And again, y'all, if you don't know me well, then it's okay. I always talk about my kids, right? I'm always talking about my kids. And I really found myself saying, oh goodness, I would be heartbroken if my daughter was saying that to herself. You know what I mean? And those limiting beliefs that sometimes we have come so readily that, whatever that higher power is for you, I just think of God as thinking, stop thinking that, please. And like pleading with us, please stop thinking that. Please stop thinking that. Okay. And if you guys haven't read the book, totally fine. Just read one of the quotes, and each of them are so good. Hopefully it doesn't matter if you've read it or not, but hopefully you'll be able to tie in. But if that doesn't work for you, then that's understandable too. At the end of today, we're going to choose the next book. So, but we'll put it in the group if you do feel uncomfortable. So let's see. Okay. So let's see. Great. That was number one. So these again are all just random quotes. If you haven't read the book, it's okay, because all of these quotes are so good, and you'll see them on my Instagram in the next month because they were so great. All right, let's see. Colleen, will you read number 2 and then tell us about it? Oh, sorry, Colleen, you're muted. There you go.
We're into lip reading today. So I picked number 2. It's not about having the time, it's about making the time, because as I'm scaling my business, I feel there's not enough time, and I'm just working, I'm grinding, and it's like I'm working in my sleep. It had gotten to that point. And finally I hit a bit of a wall a couple of weeks ago, and so took a time out. And during that time out, we decided to take a quick trip, a little getaway for a couple of nights. And that's how I listened to this book. We got an audio. So while we were driving for 4.5 hours, we listened to the book. And yeah, the language caught me by surprise.
Sorry.
We didn't know, right? And this book had been recommended to me. I've heard it mentioned and recommended by a number of other women who invest. And so I wanted to give it a listen. And for me, a lot of it resonated with some other coaching I've received, and then I'm currently receiving. So I get that there's a lot of common themes in what she's sharing. But the thing about the time is we all have 24 hours in a day. And so you just have to identify what you're going to do with that time to be the most, mindful of it, and to protect it, to move forward, because we can't create more time except to try to free our time up by scheduling the free time separate from the work time.
Yeah. Rachel Hollis says something similar to this, of how frustrating it is when people will ask her, how do you have time for all of this? And she's like, I don't just have it. It's not like it's just sitting around. Like, you have to make it, you have to carve it out. You know what I mean? So that's a great thing. Sometimes, and I'll be honest, I didn't read the last couple chapters. I didn't finish this book, so tell me if she talked about it later. But sometimes when I read these types of books, and you're going to see the list of books that I'm recommending for next time, and you're going to laugh, because they are all this kind of wake up early, get going, and schedule your time and whatever. But I'm somebody, when I go and like teach corporations about time management, I think it's important to remember that there are everybody has their different things. Not everybody works better at 5 a.m. They just don't. That might be what works for some of us, but it's not going to work for all of us. And you have to find what works for you and then own it. And if you're sitting in a room of entrepreneurs and you know that you like to sleep until 8 a.m., 9 a.m., whatever, 10 a.m., whatever it is, right? Then you've got to realize that this is what works for you. For me, I always say, I love the TV show This Is Us. And, you know, I've sat in rooms where the guru on stage is like, get rid of your TVs. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I love snuggling with my kids and watching a movie every single Friday night. We have pizza night, movie night, and that is a highlight of my week. And I love snuggling with my husband and watching This Is Us. And so, of course, you're not going to go crazy. You're not going to binge all of Netflix, right? But I think it's important to take ownership and live intentionally. So you intentionally choose when you are allowing yourself that time, but then carving out the time to make whatever is important in your life right then a priority. So I think that's awesome. Thanks, Colleen. Dana, number 7, will you read number 7 to us and share your thoughts?
Yes. Get rid of can't and won't in your life. So I didn't read the book or anything, but I was just having a conversation with myself earlier today about ridding the word can't from my life. You know, I'm just like, if you can't do it, figure it out. You know, partner with somebody, reach out to somebody. I don't know. I think I've just found it somewhat challenging to reach out to other people because sometimes, you know, you kind of feel like maybe you're getting on their nerves or something. But I mean, in order to get the answers, you know, it's best to reach out to somebody that's more experienced and that can help you out and everything. So, but that is a word that I know I have really said I need to get out of my vocabulary just because it's not going to get me anywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm just starting to change that mindset and just knowing it can happen, just trying to figure it out, or as you say, figure outable.
Yes. So Dana, the book, it starts talking about how her mom used to say that everything is figure outable. And as a young girl, that was just knowledge. Everything is figure outable. And when she's talking about I think she even says like the worst 4-letter words to your future or something are can't and won't. And so just like you said, you experienced that on your own, but it really, as soon as you get your mindset around when you start to think those words, I can't, or I won't, I can't approach that person, like they're gonna whatever, oh, I can't get on that stage, oh, I can't flip that whole house by myself. That right there is like, anytime you start with I can't or I won't, is a huge limiting belief that has to be eliminated. Like, even honestly, as I was saying those 3 sentences, like I kind of felt like, oh, you know, and it's amazing the power of words and power of thoughts, right?
I definitely agree.
Awesome.
So I just think, I just need to really focus and I think my fear is being told no, but I know you have to hear your no's in order to get to that yes. So I have to tell myself that on a regular basis as well. So
yeah, when you first start out, it is hard to hear that many no's. I totally understand. I teach a course on running short-term rentals and helping people become an Airbnb host. And I always tell my students, make sure that you're not afraid of hearing no, and that for every no you get, you're one no closer to a yes, because it's all a numbers game. It really is. Yeah. You're going to have to put in a certain amount of calls. But when you do, eventually you're going to get to the yes, you know. I think about that when I was dating my husband or dating around, you know, I just had to figure out, I was getting closer each time to figuring out who was the best fit for me. And I'm so glad I got all those no's in the meantime, because the yes was worth it when I got it, you know.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Dana. I know we're kind of throwing you into this. Let's see. Debbie, did you have one that stands out to you?
Number 8 was what I was talking about earlier. You know, if you don't take responsibility, then you lose the power in your life. You know, if you take responsibility for everything, that gives you power. And I love that. I mean, that's, you know, so many of our issues today is that our young people don't want to take responsibility for anything. But that's another story. The other ones are the like number 1, fear, being rejected, having people say no, and like bothering people. So those are some lies that I tell myself.
Yeah.
And then number 2, oh, my time. I have got to work on that. And if you have another book, that's gonna so help me. I spin my wheels. I work all day long, but I spin my wheels most of the day.
Yeah.
And don't get anywhere, you know, and just look for properties, you know, and I could do that for hours. So,
Yeah. It's a rabbit hole and you could get down up for a long time, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
So those
Hey,
are my
Stacey.
issues.
Oh, thank you, Debbie. That was a great share. Stacey, good to have you on.
Hey, I was hopping on to say hi.
Thanks, everybody. If you don't know Stacey, this is Stacey, the rock star that created REI USA. So thanks for hopping on, Stacey.
Thanks.
Stacey, I don't know if everybody was having this issue, but you'll see that there are a lot of people named MeiLani because people were messaging me again that they didn't get the links. So I don't know what's going on.
The only way that people can get the link is if they go into the membership portal and register that way.
So
I did that, Stacey, and I registered 3 times and I never got an email with a link.
Okay, I'll look into it. I'm not sure.
Same with me.
I just registered and got it.
Hmm.
Not sure. Okay, but I'll check it.
So yeah, we had like, I think 4 different people that said that they registered a couple different times and never got it. And like even a couple of days ago. So I thought it was maybe a time thing, but no, they've done it a couple of days ago. So we see a couple MeiLanis on here, but they're not all MeiLani.
Okay.
Let's see. I haven't renamed. Who is the black box MeiLani Hock? Oh, yeah. Hey, who's this one?
Oh, this is me. If I'm the black box, this is Vanessa.
Vanessa.
I dialed in about a half hour late. Sorry, MeiLani.
No, you're totally fine. Everybody's name was MeiLani today. So as they would log in, it was like MeiLani wants to come in. MeiLani wants to come in again. So yeah, no, good to have you, Vanessa. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming on. So Vanessa, just to catch you up, we're going through from our book, Everything is Figure Outable, and here were some quotes we took away from it. And if you have any thoughts on any as you're looking through it, then let me know. Let's see, we did Dana, we did Colleen, we did Debbie. Let's see, my thing is glitching. Let's see, I haven't renamed our friend in the awesome hat in the picture. Let's see, rename. Okay, all right, we'll go to the next one. Whoever it is with the hat that I love, that's so gorgeous. What do you have any thoughts? You've been here from the beginning. What's your name? All right, well, we'll keep going, but all right. All right, so some of the quotes that we didn't cover. Number 4, if it is important enough, you'll make time. If not, you'll make an excuse. I think that kind of went with number 2. Number 5, I thought was really good. The bad news is that time flies. The good news is that you are the pilot. I thought that was a good one. 6, if you are powerful enough to create an y'all, if you are powerful enough to create an overcommitted and overstretched life, then you are powerful enough to uncreate it. Unmute yourself. Does anybody have any thoughts about this? I'm going to share something really quick, and then I'd love anybody else to chime in. But for me, this reminded me of a conversation I had with my mother-in-law, y'all, because she was talking about how I've always wanted to do this and this and this, but I just have this and this and this. And all of those things were wonderful things, but they were all things that she had chosen to do. And sometimes I think we see this. I mean, I guess all of these kind of go together, right? It's not about having time, it's about making time, going in. But I think sometimes we think my life is so out of control or so busy, whatever. And the great news is that you're the one that got you there, and each of us can decide how we're going to pivot that to learn to say no, so that our life isn't that overstretched and overcommitted lifestyle that we're currently in, right? How cool is that we can change that? Do any of you guys have any thoughts on that? Number, whatever number that was, 6? All right. Any thoughts?
Well, one thing she was big on was watching and writing down how much time you spent on your phone.
Yes.
And eliminate and like put your phone on silent so that you don't get tempted. This is my issue too. You get a notification, I want to see it right away.
Yeah.
And my husband, I text him and he never looks at his text. Well, he will a couple times during the day, but he's different than I am. So anyways, you can be in control of your time. You just have to realize what you're spending time on.
Yeah.
Change it.
No, I love it. That's awesome. That's a great point. All right, let's see. Let's go on. This was probably my favorite quote. Well, I don't know, that one of them. Everything that is not forbidden by the laws of nature is achievable given the right knowledge, but you may not want it enough to make it figure outable. And to me, that is something that I've had to learn in the last 5 years. Most of you know my story, but I'd always wanted to flip houses, and that was my goal. And I had made it figure outable. I had young kids. Getting through the cancer thing, like all of those things could have been excuses, but I was like, no, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure this out. And then I was like, wait, I don't know if I like this as much as I had hoped I would like it. Right. And so then I'm so glad that I switched over to short-term rentals. But I think sometimes maybe even we could say as women, it's even more so, I don't know, that we set our mind to something and we just keep on going with it. But shutting down my first company was so hard to do. That was my baby. And it didn't matter that, I hadn't done anything with it for a few years, but it just actually shutting it down and deciding, okay, I've always thought that's what I wanted. And I've worked so hard for it that I kind of felt stuck in it. And I probably stayed with it a year longer than I probably should have. Is there anything in your guys' life that kind of is like that it's like, I always thought I wanted to figure that out. I wanted to make it figure outable, but maybe it wasn't worth it. Maybe I shouldn't have. At some point you've got to learn, nope, that's not a good fit anymore, and pivot.
I have a really small, simple example of that.
Okay.
I remember reading about like kind of the importance of blogging and how, it can help you kind of get out there a bit. And so I picked up a book and started reading about it. And I was quickly just not engaged. And it was like, nope, I don't need to figure this one out. Just don't do it.
That's a good one.
Yeah, what you really feel passionate about, that you're willing to do what it takes to learn what you need to know in order to make it happen. But if you don't have that motivation, drive, enthusiasm, and passion for it, then it's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's a great example because I don't know, raise your hand for those that we can see your hands. When you're reading a book, how many of you have to finish the entire thing? Are any of you that kind of person? Debbie, right? I mean, I think a lot of people are, I've got to finish this whole thing. My husband always makes fun of me because rarely will I ever finish a full book. Like, I love reading biographies. And I get to the point where it's like, oh, kind of what this part I know or I've seen on TV. I like learning about the childhood, the career, how they got where they wanted, but then I get to the last few chapters, like, okay, I got it. But my husband's like, no, like you put in this many pages, you've got to finish it up, right? So that's a great example, Colleen, of things that we think, okay, I'm already down this path, but then it's okay to say, I don't know if I want to stay on this path. I don't know if it's worth being figure outable, especially if we read a book like this that's like, you know, it's kind of like girl power, right? Like Spice Girls, like you've got it, whatever you want to make happen, you've got it, right? But it's okay to also be true to ourselves and be like, never mind, this isn't what I want anymore. But I feel like sometimes that's a really hard lesson to learn, right? Does anybody else have any other comments about that one? Okay. All right, before we talk about our goals, I think I've just got a couple more slides here. I really loved this one. How she, at the beginning, this was at the beginning, and she was talking about, she said, we need you. We need your heart, your voice, your courage, your joy, your creativity, your compassion, your love, your gifts. Now more than ever, there can be no significant change in the world unless we first have the courage to change ourselves. In order to change ourselves, first we need to believe that we can. Oh, I got chills. I think it's really cool that we have this group of women striving to uplift each other, but also to encourage each other, and that we each come each month, and sometimes it might not be easy to come, but we come so that we can lift each other up and that we can figure out how to better ourselves. And that's why I love reading these books with you guys and hearing your thoughts on them, is to figure out how I can be better. If it's okay, I've only shared this with my husband, but it's been something that in the last 6 months I've really realized. A lot of you know that I really enjoy coaching. I really enjoy teaching. And when I first started my my short-term rental course, I was excited to share it. Like, for sure, I was excited to share it, but I was also, I enjoyed the money that came from it also. I'm not gonna lie, right? That was a nice side perk. But it was in 2019, end of 2019, that I thought, you know what, I really enjoy this. But the thing that really, and I enjoyed the money that came from it, right? That's what I thought I was going to enjoy out of it. But the thing I enjoy most is seeing people who are actually doing it, when they send me pictures of their properties and when they send me pictures of them on a vacation that they couldn't have done if they wouldn't have opened those short-term rentals, right? Those are what really get me emotional. And so the thing that I wanted to share is that I'm at a point in my career, which is an exciting point. And I heard this quote, I think it was maybe Tony Robbins recently, that said, or maybe it was Dean, I can't remember, that once you figure out, like, once financial stuff isn't an issue, you finally are able to work on yourselves so that you can become the person you want to be. And I guess the thing that I'm getting at is that I've always, if you guys have been to my seminars or anything like that, you know that I talk about lifestyle by design, and I always talk about hanging out with my family and my kids and traveling. But I'm adding a new thing to that list, and that I've been talking about with my husband, and that is the ability to have enough money that you don't have to worry about that, right? But that you then get to become a better person because you have time and the luxury of time to work on that and really pray about that and figure out what that looks like, which is a really cool thing. So I've added that to my why, not just the traveling, not just the spending time with kids, but the time to actually spend on figuring out how I can be a better person, but also giving back. And so in the last 6 months, we've started talking about like a nonprofit that we're starting. And that's been really, really exciting. That was always on the list, was to give back. But I've never thought about how it would allow me more time to improve myself, because I think, you know, I always read self-help books. And so it hasn't really, so this isn't really eloquent. Sorry if it's all blustered, but I think that that's a cool part of that. And I loved how she said this. Let's see. All right. Now we're going to vote on our book for next month that we're going to read this month. So in the chat, if you will write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6, I'll give you a quick overview. 1 is essentialism. I don't think any of these have bad words, guys. Hopefully. Number 1 is essentialism. It's talking about that thing about that time, how to learn to say no, how to figure out what is the most essential part of your life. And I love that book, Essentialism. So you're creating the time that you need to and making that time. Number 2 is The Miracle Morning, the not so obvious secret guaranteed to transform your life before 8 a.m. Guys, I love this book, but it is definitely one that's going to talk about, all right, what is all the stuff you're going to get done before 8 a.m. But you take it with a grain of salt, right? And you figure out what works for you. Okay. 3 is The Happiness Advantage. This is one of my favorite books of all time, and I read it every single year, and I haven't read it this year. Would love to read it again. And it talks about how a positive brain fuels success in work and in life. This is a Harvard graduate, I think. And he has a bunch of different science-backed experiments, I guess, that he shares of how positive thoughts really do change your success as a whole. Love that book, and that's one of the ones that I have my kids read. Actually, it's a great one. For one of the good oldies that I haven't read for a long time, Rich Dad Poor Dad. 5, The One Thing, is The Surprising Simple Truth Behind Extraordinary Results by Gary Keller. That one, I haven't finished that one. I've never, a lot of my friends talked about it. I read a couple chapters and I never finished it. So I'd be up for reading it. And then number 6 is The 4-Hour Work Week. Escape the 9-to-5, live anywhere, and join the new rich. And it talks a little bit about virtual assistants, but how to get a hold of your time so that you make time for those other things that are a little bit more enjoyable. So go ahead and put in the chat if you want to vote on our book for next week. Let's see what we've got. Okay, let's see. Dana had to hop off. Oh, Yolanda, sorry, my chat wasn't up. So nice to meet you, Yolanda. Sorry, I'm totally fired. Stacy, did you want to say something? I don't know what you said me about. I apologize. Okay, so we've got 6, 3, 1 or 6 or 1. So 6, 3. Stacy or somebody else has to vote. Rachel, you gotta vote or something because, oh man, that didn't help me. Now we gotta tie 1, 3 or 6. 1, 3 or 6. Let's see. 2 votes for that one, 2 votes for that one, 2 votes for that one. Alrighty. What do you think, guys? 1, 3 or 6? Let's do
all of them.
Let's do
one at a time. 1, then 3, then 6.
Let's do them. Well, I'll send it out in the group. That's a great idea, Rachel. Let's do then I'll send out the next 3 months so that you can start reading them. Let's do, I'm trying to think of quickest ones. So let's do 3. We're gonna do 3, 4. I'll type this up also. Let's see. It's so June.
I think 6 is pretty short.
Yeah. So June will be 6. July will be 3, and then August will be 1. Okay. I'm gonna take a picture of this, and then we'll put it in the Facebook group so that you guys can see it and know what's going on. Real quick, let's go back to. Let me pull out my notes. And let me see, I don't have anything else, right? All right. Stop share. Here we go. All right. Guys, does anybody have any, we're running, it's kind of, only got a few minutes. So let's see. All right, I want to see if we have anything that needs to be checked up on. Yes, we do. All right, guys, for the last 10 minutes, we like to do a little bit of an accountability group. So let's see, Debbie, I see you in my top left. So let's see, Debbie, your goal was to plan a new trip. Did you plan a new trip last month?
No.
That's okay. Let's see. So I have that Colleen's goal was to travel as much as I possibly can and possibly work on another RV trip. I have Debbie, her goal was to plan a new trip. Deb Edwards isn't here today. Vanessa, your goal was to create financial independence by 39. Oh, I love that one. And target and evaluate properties. Let's see. Vanessa, are you still on? Do you want to share? Have you had any luck on target and evaluating properties?
I'm here. So I have been crunching a lot of numbers
Okay.
in a few different markets, neighboring towns, but my issue is, or what's really holding me back is not picking one and calling on landlords for, to get my first arbitrage Airbnb property. So that is where I'm at.
Just so you know, our call is on Monday. Okay. So if you want to, just a heads up, that email should be going out today or tomorrow. But the Q&A is on Monday. Okay. So Vanessa, what would be your goal for this next month?
I need to call landlords.
How many are you going to call, Vanessa?
I need to make a list of 10 to 20.
Okay, we're gonna say make a list of 15 and then you're gonna call those 15. Yeah, does that sound good?
Yes.
Okay, any chance that you could do that this week before I see you on our Monday call? How about you make the list by then?
Okay, so my questions were going to be around my market. That's really what's holding me back, deciding where.
Okay. So bring your questions. If you want to do that, then that's good. As long as we're making some sort of progression. Let's see. Anybody? Colleen, Debbie, Rachel, Yolanda, Valid, do you guys have any goals that you would like to share that we will check up on next month? Colleen, do you have one? Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
My goal right now is building my my lead generation and getting knowledgeable on my new CRM. That's my goals.
Become comfortable with your new CRM?
Yes.
Okay, that's a good one. Debbie, do you have a goal for this month?
I do need to call on properties like Vanessa. My goal is to get 3 arbitrage in the Atlanta area in, let's say, the next 2 months. We're closing on a cabin in Blue Ridge though, so I don't want to mess up like our credit or anything. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Don't you think I should wait, or am I putting it off?
That's a good question. It totally depends. When do you close on the property?
June 2nd.
June 2nd.
So 2 weeks or so.
Talk to your mortgage lender to see if you're allowed to have soft credit pulls.
Okay.
Is what I would say, just to make sure, but I think you're good, but I don't want to tell you and then your mortgage lender get mad at me. So, and you're already familiar with the areas that you're trying to arbitrage in, right?
Yeah, pretty familiar.
Okay. So I would start just like looking at the market this month also to see, maybe even start your spreadsheet of houses. They might all be gone next week or 2 weeks when you're ready to actually start calling on them, but just to make sure, because the market has changed so much that that you're really familiar with what you're willing to arbitrage them for. Yeah.
Right.
Let's see, Yolanda, Rachel.
This is Yolanda. I'm a newbie and I don't know where to start.
Okay.
You're
in the right place.
And I am an agent, so I have the ability to see what's out there. And I had my eye on a couple of things. I have excellent credit. I have money, but I'm just scared to step out there. I'm afraid.
Yeah, it takes a jump. It for sure does. Yolanda, it's so good to have you. What's your last name? So we can friend you on Facebook.
Store, STORR, like a department store, but just STORR.
Awesome. Okay. Well, it's so good to have you. You're in the right place. Keep on going to REI meetings. They've got so much great knowledge in there. If there's anything that we can do to help, A lot of us on here just so happen to do short-term rentals, but reach out if you're interested, and any of us would be happy to help you on that. But there's also a wealth of knowledge that a bunch of us have flipped houses, and just a bunch of knowledge. So let's see, Rachel, do you have any goals for next month that we can check up on?
Yes. The balance, of course, trying to attain that balance. I feel like it's this insurmountable, it's within arm's reach, but not really.
Yeah.
So, kind of juggling it all. I am working on a little digital course for luxury short-term rentals.
Awesome. Did you do Own Your Lifestyle, whatever, or Own Your Life Challenge with Tony and Dean?
In and out. I would dip in and out just because of work.
Yeah.
It was so good, every bit of it. So I'm going to be doing his Business Mastery 2 in July.
Awesome. Awesome. They are amazing, amazing. So that's great. Okay. Let's see. We did Vanessa, Rachel, Yolanda. Stacy, do you have anything you want us to follow up on? Vali, are you there?
I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to be here, but just in case, let's see. I want to buy another storage facility.
Let's do it.
One of my goals is one a month.
Run every month, or when you travel, is it less?
Well, this year it's one a month. So
Okay.
we're buying actually our fourth one right now.
Okay.
Yeah, for this year, yeah.
How many do you have now, Stacey?
That's number 10.
Number 10. Okay. And your goal is one per month for the rest of the year.
Yes. Let's see if we can do it.
That's awesome. All right, Vali, what's your goal for this month?
I am actually in the middle of studying to take the real estate exam. I've got multiple goals, but I'll put that one down, that I get that done and get the test scheduled.
Schedule.
Yeah, for that.
Awesome. Congratulations and
Thank
good luck.
you. Thank
That's
you.
gonna be awesome. All right, I think I got everyone. Let me know if not. Excited to see you guys next month. Again, this month we are doing 4-hour work week. I'm just gonna take a picture real quick so I make sure that I put you all on the thread, that I tag you all in it. There we go. All right, thanks so much, guys. We're headed to the beach. We'll be out till Sunday, but we're excited to. I know any of you that are on the Airbnb call with me on Monday, we'll see you there. But
which beach are you going to?
We are going to Oak Island.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna be beautiful weather, so enjoy.
Yeah, thank you, my friends. All right, thank you.
Have a good week, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.